All right, T, what's happening? We've got an 8020.5 video. Yeah, you've seen a lot of these. You've seen a lot of these when they were released because Demko sent out to a few channels. And I want to talk about actually using this knife. Not really going to talk about the specs. I'm going to talk about use and sharpening because I feel like that hasn't really been covered a lot. Outpost 76 did, however, really good video on it. Did a cut test, did some sharpening. Go check that out. I think that's really relevant information, not just how fidgety is the knife, because it is super fidgety, right? And the locking mechanism is awesome. So if you want to watch a video about those kind of things, there's quite a few out there. Beard to Gear has a good one on that. I want to talk about use though. I put it through a ton of use last week. I carried it exclusively all last week. I shouldn't say exclusively, I usually had 2 knives on me, but I used this one most of the time. Cut up a lot of cardboard, broke down probably 50 plus cardboard boxes. Made a bunch of Ranger bands out of inner tube, like a bicycle inner tube, cut a lot of that. What else? I just, basic daily chores too, just whatever I needed to cut with it. And ended up dulling the knife to the point where, okay, I needed an edge. So took it to the stones. Was really curious. I'd never sharpened OS 10. I sharpened OS 8. Sharpened, what's similar to this, maybe 154 cm, VG10 kind of area. And it was interesting. And I'm going to roll in some footage talking about the sharpening here. Actually, while I was doing the sharpening. So let's go ahead and roll that footage in, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, guys, out with the 20.5. I've been using this a lot this week, and I think it's gotten to the point where it's not cutting paper reliably anymore. And even like when I'm doing cardboard cuts, which is going to be really hard doing this one-handed, not going to happen. Not without being super shaky, but I'm noticing a lot more resistance while cutting through this cardboard that I didn't get when I first got the knife. So I think and I've tried to strop it today. Can't quite get it to cleanly cut paper, so I think it's time to actually give it a full sharpening. So to give you an idea, when I did the unboxing was Monday? Saturday or I think it was Monday. So it's Thursday, 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday worth of use. Quite a bit of use though, more than I normally would do. Cut a lot of bicycle inner tube as I'm making some Ranger bands. If you guys are, if you know, you know. And cut quite a bit of that. Cut quite a bit of wood. Just doing a lot of like carving and feather sticking just to test the ergonomics of the knife for the review. And a lot of cardboard. Quite a bit of cardboard. So it has seen quite a bit more use than I would typically give a knife, but 4 days use isn't a great amount, but it is OS 10. It's not like it's a premium still. So yeah, that's where we're at. So in retrospect, I also have I also have the Civivi Imperium that I did a review on, and I'm just still testing out a Nitro V Steel, and this and the 80.5 are about the same as far as, I should say, how much I've used the 80.5, probably about the same, and they're about both the same as far as edge retention so far, just for my everyday use. This, however, has a much thinner grind, so both these will not reliably cut paper. They're both in need of a sharpening, yet the Civivi will still cut through cardboard. So let's use that same cardboard as an example. I should have a tripod doing this. This is all like one-handed, so this is gonna probably be a fail, but it's just because of that thinner edge geometry, it's less resistance cutting in that cardboard. Even though the level of sharpness is the same, it's the thin edge geometry. The 80.5 is very thick behind the edge. Again, this is typical doing this one-handed. I'm only really using the tip because of how I'm cutting one-handed, but it's hard to demonstrate holding a camera one-handed and having this, but it is the thinner edge geometry, the thinner grind. You can be less sharp, so to speak, on your edge and still cut materials well versus having a thicker behind the edge knife. This is like 22 thousandths or so or more. Once you lose sharpness, you lose everything essentially, because it's just too thick behind the edge, so it's not going to cut as well. So that's another benefit of having thinner edge geometry. Okay, so I got the 80.5 on the wicked edge. It was time for a sharpening. I'm about 11 passes in, and I already have a burr. You can hear it. Need to work on the tip a little bit more, but that's fast. I am matching the factory angle as much as possible, so this is about 17 degrees per second. I thought the steel was going to be easy to sharpen, and burr formation was really easy, but burr, like deburring, it's been a pain. Like I can still feel a little bit of burr. I went up my normal progression 200, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,500, and there's still a bit of a burr right there near it. What the weird. I have to try to knock that off. All right, I just finished sharpening this guy. Man, for how easy it was to form a burr, knocking it off was a royal pain in the butt. I have never experienced that on any steel really, especially a lower end steel, not even Maximate. I had no problem deburring Maximate. So it took me a while to finally get this edge to where it didn't have a burr. I mean, a good amount of work, which is weird. It is thick behind the edge, that's part of it, I'm sure. But it just could be a characteristic of AUS-10, or it could be the heat treat, I don't know. But it took a while to deburr, but I finally got it sharp and cutting very cleanly. So yeah, but surprising how long it took to deburr this steel. So let me know if you had that experience with AUS-10, or if it's just something on this AUS-10 or what. So it was weird because the knife, as you saw and I talked about, it took a burr formation was fast. I did find the factory edge was about 17, 18 degrees, somewhere around there. I can't remember, I probably talked about it in the sharpening video portion. And I creating a burr was super fast. So if you can find the factory edge, creating a burr should be pretty easy on most steels, even harder steels, because you're not reprofiling. You're following that factory edge. What was weird about this blade was and Outpost talked about this in Gerald talked about this in his video, how hard it was to deburr the knife. Now, he didn't have an issue because it had been sharpened 4 times, but the owner of the knife that sent it to him had to sharpen it 4 times or put 4 edges on it, essentially, and it took till the 4th edge for the knife to properly deburr. Deburr, you know, like when I've created a burr on this side, I'm knocking it off on this side, essentially, right? Most of the time, it's not hard. Every steel I've ever sharpened, including Maximate, was not difficult to deburr. This was like a huge pain. It was weird. I was like, wait, for how easy it was to form a burr, knocking the burr off took a long time, a lot of work. Was strange. Now, Outpost did say that that the owner of the knife, I can't remember his name, said he had the same issue. I don't know if it's something with the heat treat they're doing on the AUS-10. I don't know if it's just a characteristic of AUS-10. Some steels are harder to deburr than others. Could be. But it was interesting for being a budget steel, how long it took to sharpen. Like, I literally sharpened this 20 CV way quicker. I also sharpened, what was the other knife I sharpened recently? Nitro V, a newer, more budget-friendly steel. I really like Nitro V, and I like it better than AUS-10. I really wish they would have gone with Nitro V on this. I think it would have been a good option, would have kept the cost low, but had a better, in my opinion, steel than AUS-10. And usage-wise, like stropping it back after using, it didn't strop back very easily for me either. We'll see now that I've put my own edge on it. That was the factory edge. Now that I have my own edge on it, and it took, actually this is probably more like 3 edges because the amount of time it took to deburr it. Because I had sharpened it all the way, and then I noticed, geez, I still had a burr, so I had to go back and redo it. So really, it's got about 3 sharpenings on it. We'll see how easy it is to strop back now. It was not great on the factory edge, so there could be some edge burning going on there. Who knows what they did in the factory to get it that way? But either way, usage-wise, I liked the steel. It was better than 8CR13. It was better than 9CR. It was more like comparable to Nitro V to 154CM. I think 154CM is better because it strops easily. It really takes a easy edge on a strop. So I like 154CM better also. But other than that, it'll be interesting to see now that I've got a nice edge on it, how it performs and how it is easy next time to sharpen, because it was not fun. So that's an interesting thing about this knife. A lot of guys that get this knife probably will not even sharpen it because they'll just fidget with it, right? And that's okay, because knives can be cutting tools and be cool to fidget with as well. That's all right. That's one thing I will tell you about this is the Shark Lock, after having handled Jake's at Bearded Gear's 80.5 or 80/20, the mechanism is exactly the same. Everything is just a shrunken down version of that knife. This is Grivery, his was G10, I believe. And it obviously had, I want to say 3V steel, which is a lot better. I like a lot better for that. But AUS-10 will do fine on this steel. It's not a bad steel. I'm not knocking AUS-10. I was just really kind of shocked at how hard it was to deburr. I didn't love that part of it. So we'll see. Maybe now that you get 4 edges onto it, it'll deburr. But most people aren't going to do that. Let's be real. Most people aren't going to sharpen the knife 4 or 5 times and finally get to that point where they're, so if you do get one of these and you're having a hard time sharpening it, you just got to work at it because it will eventually deburr, and it might get better as you sharpen it more. Overall, a good user knife though. I really enjoyed using the knife. I thought the ergonomics for how slim it is are really good. Size-wise, we'll do a couple. I have the Malibu handy, so we'll compare it to that, and then the Para 3 and S45 VN. So it's a little bit bigger than the Para 3 and the Malibu, just slightly in the handle. But the blade length, you're getting less cutting edge. Actually, it's probably about the same amount of cutting edge as the Para 3, maybe a little bit more, but less than the Malibu. The handle is longer, but the ergos were good for how thin it is, and it's lightweight, so if you want a lightweight EDC knife, it's not a Benchmade bug out lightweight. It's 3.5 ounces, but it's light. You don't even know you have it on you. I really enjoyed using it. I obviously fidgeting with it, you can middle finger flick it. You can use your slow roll on that. You can use the Shark Lock to deploy it. And the Shark Lock is awesome. I'm super stoked that they brought this knife out in a production knife, or this lock mechanism, I should say, and made it smaller. I would love for Demko to make this knife in a better steel, like Crewwear 3V, like he does, or 20CV. I think he did. Did he do 20CV? Maybe not. But just a different, like a little higher end steel in this same model, and maybe do G10 instead of the Grivery, or even titanium. That would be sick. And this size is perfect. This is like literally my favorite size of knife. Like, it's absolutely perfect. The ergos are fantastic. Using the knife is a pleasure. So overall, I'm super happy with the 80/20.5. I love to see them become more readily available as well, because they're really not easy to get right now. But just beware. Know that sharpening it might not be the most pleasant experience for you. And I've sharpened so many knives, so many different types of steels on the Wicked Edge, and never had that problem. I've literally never had a problem deburring a knife more than this one, ever. Even Maximate was easier to deburr. So don't know what's up with that. That could be the heat treat. That could be burn edge. I don't know. If you guys know or have a theory, any of you guys sharpening guys out there, let me know what your thoughts are. But overall, very happy with the 80/20.5, and I highly recommend picking one up when they are more readily available. I want to get the Shark's Foot still. I think that's the best looking of the two. But the drop point's great, so, or clip point, I guess. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.